Hello, this is Kynan from Silver Tiger Media, and I have the absolute privilege to be joined by Amy and Georgia, also known as two of the absolute most badass women on the planet, widely known as Nova Twins. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, thanks
what
for
an
having us.
introduction.
What an intro.
Of course, and I'm only
Thank
scratching
you.
the surface when talking about you guys. You're
Aw.
absolutely incredible and in every single way possible. So it's an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Good Things Festival, Australia 2022. I think they're undermining it a little bit, calling it Good Things, because I think it's an incredible thing seeing you guys on the lineup this year. It's an absolute thrill. How does it feel to come play these shows down under?
Oh my God, I feel great now. Like the energy from the Australians is amazing. Like you make us feel great.
Yeah, I think we've never been to Australia, and we've never obviously played either. So for us, this is like a big one. We're like, oh my God, like we're coming all the way over there for the first time ever, and we get to do it with our music.
3
So
times.
it is, yeah. So we're really, really looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys as well. You mentioned it's your first time coming to Australia. Is there anything you're looking forward to seeing the most when coming here?
Like maybe like the beaches, because it's meant to be like really beautiful, isn't it? And like the wildlife, maybe some turtles or
Of course.
Someone said to us that the food's really like good quality. I keep saying this. Like it's really like kind of well done, like clean, like just clean, good food. So I'm like,
it
I
does
love
count
food.
though. When you're touring, like you eat so much like shit food, like you'll have just like KFC or McDonald's because there's just nothing on the road. So when you have good food in a place, it's like, oh,
We appreciate it a lot.
Of
We're
course.
scared of the spiders. We must let that be known. Terrified of the bugs.
So somebody wants to save us from the spider.
I cannot promise there won't be some monstrous arachnids backstage at the shows, but that's
Not
just me. I'm not a roadie. I'm not
saying
sure.
to us right now.
What do you mean?
You're gonna have to cancel the shows right now. You're not coming anymore.
If I see a massive one on stage, we played a show the other day and there was like a grasshopper on our pedal board, but that I could deal with. Amy's like terrified of grasshoppers, but if it was a spider, I don't know. I think we'd have to stop the song or something.
I think we have someone on side just for that. Yeah.
The spider catcher.
For completely fair enough as well. Obviously, we've got Bring Me the Horizon headlining this festival as well. And you guys have actually previously collaborated with them on the track One by One. What was that like working with them?
Yeah, that was like, well, to be honest, we was actually in lockdown. So we did it remotely. We had to record it at like a home studio. And obviously they sent it back and forth, but we did like a little FaceTime, and that was the first time we actually met Ollie, was via FaceTime. And yeah, it was amazing. It was so quick as well. It was basically like Ollie dropped in the DMs being like, hey, I got a song, would you like to be on it? We were like, what the fuck just happened? Is this for real? Listen to the song and was like, it's a banger. Yes, of course. And then very quickly we just recorded it and then sent it back in like a day or two, and it was like done. It was like it was really quick.
Yeah, and they're so lovely though. It's always like great seeing them. And
yeah,
that's awesome. And I'd imagine, and the fact that you guys were able to get through that during a lockdown as well, it's incredibly admirable. It's especially like you guys and so many artists being able to adapt to this just this new lifestyle and this way of creating music. So that's really awesome to hear. I wanted to talk about your very first single, Baseline Bitch. It's a bit of a voice for the underdogs, especially in the sort of grime punk scene, as well as the music industry as a whole. Is there any particular reason why you unleashed that particular song and the underlying meaning behind it as an introduction for Nova Twins?
I think it's like just that, like being the underdog at the time. We were kind of just making our own lane. Everything was so DIY. We still stay very DIY. Even like the music video, my mum shot on her phone. So it was just kind of like just saying this is the raw bones of us, and we're just putting that out there. We're not going to wait for any like label or anything. We're just going to put it out there and see what happens.
Which has been our ethos. It was our ethos for years to follow. So see what happens.
See what happens. Put it out.
Yeah.
Of course, just hoping for the best. That's pretty much it at the start, right? Yeah. Awesome. The release of your LP Supernova must have been incredibly exciting for the both of you. Congratulations, first and foremost. 2 months has gone by since the release of that album. Have you been happy with the response from both fans and new listeners alike?
Yeah, we've been just like completely like over the moon, and we're really just, yeah, we couldn't have asked for anything more, really. You know, the first album, Who Are the Girls, we released, and then a lockdown happened for like 2 years. So it's so amazing to feel it's almost like the first album again, because it's such a different experience to what we experienced on our first album. And Supernova, we wrote it during the lockdown. So for it to have this full lease of life and it coming out at a really like just a great moment, especially for like heavy music, you know, the alt scene, I think, and it obviously got shortlisted for the Mercury Prize in the UK. So for us, it's just like all the things that we wanted from it. It kind of it's achieving, and it's still just kind of doing its thing out there. We're very proud of it, and we're glad that our audience like it most of all, because, you know, it's something we wanted them to feel and experience too.
Awesome stuff. And you mentioned it was pretty much all of it was during lockdown. What was that process like?
I think we kind of used the album as a line of communication, because we were like isolated separately for the first time for like 10 years. So like having this album to work on and like bring each other up and get excited about ideas and surprise each other with like you know, different song ideas and things like that. It was just a nice way to keep communicated, and it just kept us motivated in a time where we thought, will we ever gig again? Like nobody knew if touring would happen again or when it would. So just having something to work towards and feel proud of was very like beneficial and kind of kept us sane.
That's lovely. Awesome to hear. Yeah, cool. I would love to know your initial vision for the album, specifically its meaning, and just I don't know, I guess how you wanted to build it, and from like the front cover to the track list. So what was the whole vision for that?
We didn't have a vision, if we're honest. I think we took each day step by step. Like we didn't plan anything. I think we just done what made us feel good, and whatever we came up with was the result of that. And I think it was very like, you know, the obviously the album is definitely inspired and it's affected by our environment at the time and what was going on in a lot of different ways, and that definitely fed into the songs, fed into the sonics, fed into the sounds, like fed into the whole picture. And I think when we got to the end of it, I think it's almost like writing the album was us going through whatever we was going through at the time, and then getting to the end of it, we could look back and reflect and think, what is it? What is that body of work now? And that's when we wrote the intro. That was the last thing we wrote, that we summed it up after. Once we had the body of songs, we was like, this is what it's giving us. This is what it meant to us. This is at the end of that journey, we are able now to like identify what it is, because we can look back and reflect. And then it was like, you know, Supernova, own your power. And it's just like that kind of powerful, driven, driving force. You can get through anything, no matter how bad it gets, or even if it's, you know, or whatever, you're just gonna get through the other end a winner. And that's what we always say with the albums, that kind of power, inner power.
Of course, absolutely. It's all that matters, really. Just the inner power, and just stick it to the man a little bit, and yeah, just being able to get through all the tough times. Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to have a chat about your very technical approach when it comes to your music. You use a lot of pedals and a lot of effects, and it really comes across as very experimental. To create this really unique grime sounds with like a lot of punk elements mixed into it. What inspired you to implement these techniques into your music, and what drew you to sort of those techniques as a whole?
I think the pedals kind of grew with the band. Like we all have different influences as well. And like one of like my main ones was like electronic music, and how like artists like Timbaland would produce and use like side chaining or like really gnarly synths, or like Skrillex will like really fuck up synths and it will sound like super chaotic and like dubstep music. So I think the idea of like doing all that live manually on guitars and bass was just like mind-blowing to me. So I thought it'd be sick to like be able to do it all live. We don't use any tracks, so all guitar and bass is all played live on all the shows, and all on the album there's like no synths on there. So it's been fun to kind of push ourselves and think how much can we do to make it sound like the record all live, and it's all different footwork. Sometimes it looks like a tap dance, like triggering off different pedals, and so it's been definitely like an evolution of Nova, even from album 1 to now. It sounds a lot more like electronic, and it's just fun to see like where we can push it and experiment with the sounds.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's I remember I think the first time I properly listened to your music, I'm pretty sure my ears were just numb afterwards, and I mean that with like it was just unlike anything I've ever heard before. It's absolutely amazing. For this final question, it's a little bit more of a personal one from me, and I wanted to direct it actually to Georgia as a bass player. I watched the interview you guys did with Loudwire, your favorite riffs one, and you talked about your riff for Toolbox. You use what you call like the magic, the secret recipe, the little ring thing. I wanted to ask you, like, how did you create that? Like, that's fucking awesome. Like I never thought a bass could ever like sound like that. That's great.
Honestly, like neither did I. It's always like when I say we get into the lab, and it's just like nerding out and experimenting and seeing what comes out, and just like collecting different pedals and tweaking. After every song we like tweak the sound, so like it's just a lot of fun and a lot of trial and error. And when you nail something and it sounds sick, it's just like, oh my god, we've unlocked a different like level to Nova. And yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, and it must add to the whole like experimental technical side of your music as well, and that's really cool. Well, that about wraps it up. I want to thank you both very, very, very much for joining me, and I absolutely can't wait to see you on stage at Good Things.
Oh,
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.